Hey there, this is the third of my videos this week focusing on how sugar impacts our long-term well-being. And I made these videos specifically because I know so many of us are going, right, it's the new year and I need to focus on getting myself healthy and improving my long-term well-being. If you are that person that wants to make some transformations this year, you need to make sure that your sleep is where it should be. You need to make sure that your intestine is working effectively. And also we want to make sure we've got our hormones really nicely balanced. Now, when I talk about hormones, I'm not just talking about our estrogen and progesterone, which is what we automatically think about. Our body's controlled by a whole series of messaging which comes from our hormonal system, our endocrine system. And that endocrine system is dominated by a number of hormones, insulin being one of them. Insulin is our blood sugar hormone. It's released in response to us consuming carbohydrate. And if that carbohydrate is in a more refined form, we will have higher levels of insulin in our system. Now, insulin is a dominant hormone and it will impact our fullness hormone and our appetite hormone. And if we have high levels of insulin in the system, we don't release the fullness hormone, we release more of the appetite hormone. And so we end up finding ourselves hungry all the time. So we naturally eat more if we've got high levels of insulin in our system. So if we're looking to manage our weight more effectively, having blood sugar roller coasters or high levels of insulin in the body will just mean that it's almost out of your control and you are prowling around the kitchen to find snacks and treats because your body's got high levels of ghrelin, the hunger hormone, and low levels of leptin, the hormone that tells us we're full. So that's the first impact that sugar can have on our hormone balance. And the second impact it has is that sugar is an inflammatory food. And when we consume sugar in the form of cakes and biscuits and alcohol and all those refined foods, what ends up happening in that metabolic process for the body to be able to use the sugar, we create molecules that cause inflammation in the body. And so when we have internal inflammation, what ends up happening is that we release a hormone called cortisol. And cortisol is a hormone that's released in response to stress. It can be released in response to external stress, but it can also be released in response to internal stress. Now, if we have high levels of cortisol in the system, cortisol is also a dominant hormone and it will steal the raw materials from your estrogen and progesterone. So if you are menopausal or if you are struggling with any element of hormone imbalance, whether it's PCOS, whether it's just irritability every month, whether it's fibroids, you name it, it will be impacted by the high levels of cortisol in our system and the high levels of insulin. Plus, those two hormones together fix sugars as fat and store them as fat and won't let you burn that fat for fuel. So our weight management quest is compromised by the fact that we have high levels of insulin and cortisol in the system. And the third impact as well is that when we're consuming a lot of sugar, the liver has to do a lot of metabolizing of that sugar. So it will convert the sugars into triglycerides to store as fat, and that takes place in the liver. And the liver is a really important organ for converting our inactive form of thyroxine to our active form of thyroxine. Thyroxine is the hormone that boosts our metabolism, keeps our metabolism going. So if our levels of thyroxine are low, that's often linked to the fact that our liver's not working efficiently. And so consequently, we don't have our metabolism drops and we feel tired and sluggish and we're not functioning all the time. We might end up on medication for it. And that all comes back to how the body's processing sugar or how the liver is processing sugar and the fact that the liver can't do the jobs that it needs to do. So there's all these impacts in the body in terms of our hormonal system, our endocrine system, that sugar has an impact on. So if you know it's time for you to break your addiction to sugar, I would love for you to join me and hundreds of other women over in my sugar-free 7-day sugar-free challenge. I'll get my words out in a minute, which starts on Monday, the 10th of January. You just have a couple of days left to register. But we're going to break that cycle of sugar addiction. We're going to start to improve how well your liver functions and bring your hormones back into balance. Flatten your insulin, your blood sugar balance. Make sure that it's flatter. And when your insulin is flatter, is lower in the system, we can feel fuller for longer. We don't have the cravings in the same way. And we start to improve so many other areas of our well-being. So I would love for you to join me over in the sugar-free and fabulous 7-day challenge. There's too many ch's and f's to want me to pronounce that properly, but I would love for you to join me there, where we will be focusing on breaking that sugar addiction over this course of the 7 days. There's mini challenges, there's live feeds, there's workshops that's going to take place. All takes place within that Facebook group. You get a free recipe collection and an eating plan. You'll get a meal prep guide as well, so that you can be super planned to make sure you're successful with your sugar-free focus for that 7 days. So I would love to see you there. Just click the link in the email below and head over and join my 7-day sugar-free and fabulous challenge starting on Monday the 10th of January. Hopefully I'll see you there. Take care and I'll speak to you soon. Bye bye.